Okay. So, hello. So, my name is Eza Valdez for The Alchemist Kitchen, and we're here with Alexandra Phillips because she's teaching a class for us on January 4 at 6:30 p.m., and it's Discovering Your Purpose. So, Alexandra, what's the class about, and what would the students expect, the attendees expect from this course?
Well, I thought part of the course is timed really well with the end of our kind of common era calendar year, right? So there are all kinds of beginnings and ends, and we often hold a lot of weight with December 31st, right? And then we push all this stress and pressure into December 31st, and everybody writes out their goals for the year and all of these pieces. And I actually find that the best time to write those are actually after the 31st. So after you've chilled yourself out, after you've calmed yourself down, and when you have a little bit of clarity away from the morass of the holidays, I find is a better time to tap into your intuition and connect with some of the intentions that you want to set for the year. So if you think about back when we used to go to the gym, you would show up on January 1st. And if you had had a regular routine, you might be a little frustrated with the fact that all the machines were taken, right? Because everybody shows up on January 1st. You're like, wait a minute, this was my spot. And then by January 3rd, it's chilled out quite a bit. Or, even January 7th, you're back to having whatever you need. So that's why when I was talking with you guys about when to plan the course, that's why I very much wanted it to be after the 31st. And also right after our new moon. So we're going to capitalize on this new moon energy. We're going to capitalize on a little bit of the relaxation that comes after the 31st, and ideally set our intentions, yes, for the new year, but most importantly, create a plan, right? Because what gets planned gets done. And so I am an intuitive, I'm an empath, I'm a witch, I'm also a business coach. And so the value in me is having us connect with our intuition and our guides and activate the magic in us, and then also create the plan so that the stuff we want gets done. So that's what I want to give to people on January 4th and give to our connected energies is this intuition connection, connecting with your purposeful walk on this planet, and then making a plan so you do what you say you're going to do.
So that's great that I actually need to take that course. I need to take that class. And so one of the things that I found out about you is that you write for Forbes. You write articles for Forbes. You what is it called? The Leadership Council?
I am part of the Forbes Coaches Leadership Council. Yes.
Yes. And so one of the things you wrote there is to have an accountability buddy, right? Yes. So it's great to make the plans and to have a roadmap for the upcoming year, but you also offer your services to be a coach in order to, it's one thing to plan it out, it's another thing to execute and have somebody like be your coach. Tell me a little bit more about that coaching aspect that's part of your offering.
Awesome. So the work, if I were to engage with a private client for accountability, for coaching, part of what you get with me is feel like I'm kind of like the consigliere in your back pocket, right? So you always have access to me. That can sometimes be a large investment for people. So one of the things I like to help create in the workshops even are accountability partners. So you can connect with somebody so that you do what it is you say you're going to do. Because when you connect with me as your coach, what happens is that we unconsciously create a contract with our coaches that we do not want to break, right? And I can capitalize on the contract that my clients or that, whomever I'm working with has created with themselves, with me, to help them do what they say they're going to do. So to kind of dig into some of the statistics on habit making and how things happen, if you have an idea and you think you're going to do it, you have about a 10% chance of getting that idea done. So if you're like, oh, I should do this thing, should write a book, I have about a 10% chance of activating on that idea. Now, if I write that idea down, it skyrockets up another like 30% on top of that. So we have a 40% chance of getting it done. Cool. If I tell some other people that I'm going to do this thing, it goes even higher. Cool. Now, if I have a person with whom I have scheduled an accountability date of sorts for when I'm going to do what I say I'm going to do, my chance of getting that done goes to close to 90%. So
Amazing.
right. So if you want to get stuff done, tell someone else you're going to do it. And then you do, because for better or for worse, we keep our word with other people more than we keep it with ourselves. Now,
that's true.
I would love to shift and change that. But I also want to not get in my own way. And so when I have and work with an accountability partner, I actually have a group of coaches that I work with, and we kind of get together weekly. Actually, now it's usually twice a month. And we talk shop and we set our goals and we check in with how far we're getting with them. And as a result, our efficiency and the level to which we accomplish our goals skyrockets. Because I really want to go to that meeting and say, I've done what I've said I was going to do.
And so you've coached a lot of, executives, right? Because you're a business coach. And so it's heartening to hear that for women that are in high positions, they still need a coach. They still need someone to like be their sounding board and be able to like see a different perspective, right?
I think it's exceptionally important, specifically with women. I went to my in-laws for the Christmas holiday. They're Catholic, and we celebrated, and it's wonderful. And it's nothing I grew up with. It's incredibly Rockwellian. They have the tree, and they manage to get snow every year. I don't know how they pull it off, but like it's awesome. And we're sitting at the end of the night, and we're talking, and we noted how my father-in-law and my husband don't waver on their personal plans, right? No matter where we are, my husband is going for a run. No matter where we are, he's getting his second meditation in.
How do they do that?
And part of it is that they have a more, I'm going to talk cisgender men, cisgender women, so we can, fit where we fit in, tend to honor their commitments to themselves more than women tend to honor their commitments to themselves, or really not cisgender, but how you identify. So if you identify as a female, you tend to put others' needs ahead of your own, which is why I will always get my first meditation in, but there go through periods where I don't always get my second meditation in, right? Because the kids are doing the thing and the business needs the other thing, and, whatever. I'll allow in valleys for those things to take a priority, right? But when we have an accountability buddy and when we have a coach, we tend to prioritize our own needs more, because you have to put on your own mask before assisting others.
That's so true. Actually, I don't know if you still remember, but when Lou introduced us together, and you did the reading for me, and you made me cry, and now I'm feeling crying.
It's okay. You can cry now. It's all right.
No, because it was like a really powerful reading. I mean, you really highlighted to me, because I was taking care of everybody else, and I was like really feeling depleted. And you highlighted to me that I needed to take care of myself. And one of the things that changed for me at that time, which I am still doing, is
your skin.
The skin.
Yes. Oh, I do remember.
The skin.
I mean, it looks phenomenal.
Oh, thank you. Because I've been taking care of it, and it's not from a vanity standpoint. It really is about maintenance at this point, where I feel that if I don't do it, it really, well, it it messes with my skin for one thing, because I'm aging now. And if I don't moisturize, it's like, how will it be like 20 years from now? But it's not even that. I feel like for me, it activates parts of my brain that, because I'm in front of the computer all the time, the tactile effort of washing and feeling the water and cleansing and just activates the part and connects my body to my brain, if that kind of
Right.
makes sense, right? And so those things where I'm experiencing the world and I'm taking care of myself, uh, subconsciously, I really feel that it makes me happy. It makes me happy that I myself is taking care of my needs first before going out into the world. So I
And when
really am grateful for that, because that really shifted for me.
Well, that's an interesting piece that you mentioned there, because when you experience any kind of shift, that shift and change then exists in your body somewhere. So this is why I think the work is so important, is because when you can experience change, even on what we might feel as like a smaller level, right? That change exists kinesthetically in your body, and you can connect with that experience anytime you want to help activate change across the board. So that's why those moments of like, oh, I shifted here are so important, because then all of a sudden you become an agent of change, and you can be an agent of change, in the space of your own family. You can be an agent of change in the space of your organization that you work in, which is another family. You can become an agent of change on your block, in your community, in the world, right? So doing something like taking care of your skincare routine is change making, and that's exceptional. I mean, that's amazing. That's what we hope for everybody. We want to create
And
change makers.
to the point where um, it was an indulgence, but I bought like really expensive skincare product, because I'm going, this is way too expensive. I'm used to like just going to CVS and buying like, soap. Like back then I would just use regular soap to wash my face. And I know all of the facial estheticians would go, no. But at the same time, like, why am I going to spend money on myself? And that shift in thinking was like, when I used the more expensive product, I felt the difference on my skin. And it wasn't even just me noticing it, people coming up to me and saying, oh, what did you do? You look glowing. And I'm going, oh, well, Alexandra helped me.
That's very sweet. Well, you'll have to send me the brands that you bought, because I'm super excited. But what's most important is that I would be willing to bet a lot that when you put out the energetic sphere, or the energetic need of wanting that and giving it to yourself, that there was a return. My guess is that there was some sort of emotional, outward, or even financial compensation. Like anytime we feel as though, oh, okay, I'm going to push the bounds of this a little bit, if you're doing it with intentions towards love, the universe will return that investment. They say, oh, good, I want you to do more of that. Let me give you some more resources to do that. Right.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that more of a private conversation, but
Sure.
yes,
Right.
yes to that. One of the things that I wanted to talk to you about is Victoria Libertor was your mentor as well. So we talked about you mentoring other people, but you yourself have
Have a
her
mentor.
as your teacher, as your mentor. How did that came about?
Through the Alchemist Kitchen.
Ah.
This is the most wonderful story. So on my son's third birthday, which was November 15th, Victoria was teaching a workshop on it was related to financial resources, kind of like a money workshop of sorts. And it was on my kid's birthday. And I thought, I can't go do something for myself on my son's birthday. Like, that's insane. And then I was like, no, wait a second. he was little, little. And I was like, if I put him to bed, I can still do bedtime and get on the train. Back when we got on the train, I can be on time. And then I can just give myself a birthday present. Because last time I checked, I'm the one that pulled him from my body. Right? So that was my birthday as well.
Yes. Yes.
And so I went to this workshop with Victoria at the space where you went downstairs.
Yes. Yeah. The lower level. Yes.
The lower level. And where's the piece of labradorite that I got there? This is one of my very favorite stones. It might be, all right. So this I got at the Alchemist Kitchen, right? This was my present for myself. I fell in love with labradorite, and my husband got me this like 2 years later,
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
And did the workshop with Victoria, was immediately connected on a whole other level, and went to her home in Brooklyn and did a reading with her. And then again, she was offering a mentorship where it was, full on commitment in terms of the financial resources for a year. And I hesitated for not a second. I was like, yes, I'm in. And I have been working with her ever since. And so my son is 7. So that's
4 years.
That's like 4-year mentorship.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's amazing. She and I have definitely walked together in previous lives. She is a kind, generous, guiding soul. And I would say that, I want to connect with any energies that want to connect with me. But if anybody doesn't feel like, okay, they lock down with me, go check out Victoria's stuff. She's also known as the intuitive animal. And she has just a wealth of love and care and generosity in her. She has moved to California, which is part of the reason why she doesn't do the in-person work as much, but she has been at the Alchemist Kitchen quite a bit virtually. Yeah. And and that's been just an incredible journey for me, because at that point, I was really quiet about my witchiness. I didn't want to share it with anybody. I had not outed myself yet. My husband would kind of be like, how is it that you do those things? And I'd be like,
Yeah.
And now, it was a big and fast leap to the point where, if my kids were going to say what their mom does at school, they would say, oh, well, she's a witch and she's a coach. And I'm good with it, right? Like, it's fine with me. And because they know that that's as important to me as any of the business work I do. And that more and more my clients want both. Like my high net worth clients, my C-suite clients, they want the intuitive work too. And so that the vast majority of my clients now, it's a combination of that work. So, I might be coaching somebody who's in a Fortune, 100 company, who's a female executive, and she wants the intuitive connection as much as, the organizational psychology and, how we're going to do end year reviews, and those pieces might be of interest, but also, what Ganesha card did I pull?
And so you suppressed it for like 20 years, right? That's a long time, like a really long time. And so so Victoria was no, even before that, you were doing a little bit of it already, right?
I was. As a child, I had some very powerful experiences. And by child, I mean like 15-ish. It was full on, and I had engaged with a lot of witchcraft, and I was doing it kind of quietly on my own, right? So and it's so funny. The first book I ever got, I found on the street. I'm just looking at my shelves. I wonder, maybe it's upstairs. I found on a street corner just the other day, and I was like, and it's just like a book I bought in Barnes & Noble when I was 15 years old, but it was like my first, like, okay, I'm going to set up an altar and I'm going to create some rituals, and I needed a wand and I need some particular clothes. And I started to do these things, and I did have, and I didn't have any kind of mentor or guide. And I lived in New York City in the 90s, and it just was not something that was socially acceptable. My friends would make fun of me. They called me, I mean, they were like, oh, go ask the witch or something like that.
Mm.
But I did have some very big moments, you know, uh, where I would go flying on my own through projections, and then I could interpret past energies, which would come through quite a bit and want to talk. Um, and it just was too much for me to handle in a very unforgiving childhood. And so I squashed it down. And
Yeah.
I did find spaces like I always would. I had my own deck, and I would do readings in college sometimes. And I would always find myself gravitating towards certain books. But it really was kind of on quiet lockdown, so much
Mm-hmm.
so that I worked as an actor for a long time. And it's interesting. I have my acting mentor's card right here from when she actually passed away. She was a witch, and I had no idea. I had
Wow.
no idea. And now that I have this connection again,
Mm-hmm.
or I've
Yes.
opened up the pathways, I'm like, oh, that's why we were.
That's
That's
why
why
you were
you.
led. That's why you were led to her.
Yes, absolutely. And, she would quietly walk us through rituals, like acting rituals that now
Mm.
I'm fully aware were rituals, you know. Um, and I think she just knew that you could only take a toe in with some, and
Mm-hmm.
then however people can connect with, however I'm being guided for others,
Mm-hmm.
that's all you need. If you want to toe in or you want to jump all the way into the water, it's all good, right?
Yeah.
And get how you get it.
Absolutely. And so it's a different environment now where, the witch, the feminist witch really is the one that's being celebrated, where everybody is either cu- how do you pronounce it? Curaterisma, a bruja,
Yes.
so I think with the Me Too movement, there's a lot of empowerment that is happening to the next generation where they embrace their divination abilities, their psychic abilities. But I still feel like there's still, a need for the elders like us to be able to guide and mentor the next generation. So it's grounded, you
Right.
know. I really feel, and I think that's the reason why with the Alchemist Kitchen, that's the hope that we have for the coming year is to offer, a sense of community and a sense of like, if you have questions, come to us. And we may not know all of the answers, but at least there's people that have walked the path, that have stumbled and have risen again, so 20 years of being of hiding it, and now you're in the open. It's heartening to hear that, and to hear also of that you could mix the two, the business as well as the spirit side of it, right?
Absolutely. I think that's part of the challenge is that I feel like we feel this dichotomy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like you're either going to pursue financial resources or you're going to be a spiritually connected person. And I don't know where that kind of division happened. I have to be honest, my sense is that it's a traditionally male dominated thought of cleaving away our intuition because it's so incredibly powerful and it keeps us in a place of not having the same level of financial resources. Um, because when we tap into our intuition, either as a someone who identifies as a woman or as an intuitively minded man, because I'm around male energy. Um, I'm in a relationship with a man, my husband, and I have two children who are both boys. And we do a lot of intuitive work as a family. We do a lot of rituals. We do a lot of connecting with our guides. And I feel as though it makes all of us more powerful because we're not cutting off part of ourself in order to fit into a box that I didn't choose,
Mhm.
right? Or a suit that is not made for me.
Mhm.
And so I think it's very important to connect with all pieces of ourselves. It's like I was saying to, you know, when there's a lesson to be explored, it seems to come through all my clients at once, right? So it's like, it'll show up in many ways. And one of the things I was saying a lot, I remember right before, you know, the Christmas holiday was, I call all pieces of myself back to myself. I
Mm.
exist in my own power. Because all these pieces of myself exist all over. I might give them to any number of people throughout the course of a day or throughout years. I energetically leave pieces of myself all kinds of places,
Mhm.
especially if I'm connecting with past energy. That can happen often. But I need that back at the end of the day.
Your soul retrieval.
I do. I need to bring them all back at the end of the day every night.
Gather back in.
Come back to me. Let's
Yeah.
recharge
Yeah.
so that we're ready again for the next day. Right. Um, and so this is what I think allowing, and if I had had a place like the Alchemist Kitchen when I was 15 and had a mentor like Victoria when I was at that age and didn't feel as though I was so frightened of my own power,
Mhm.
it would have been more easeful to engage with it. Right. Um,
Yeah.
And that's why I think it's wonderful for a place like the Alchemist Kitchen to exist, because you can go and you can explore what's of value to you. You can go and check out, you know, the oils, the CBD pieces, the decks, the crystals, the all of it, um, in a way that's safe and engaging. And if you want to take a workshop and have someone help guide you through the next piece, even better. And your reach is so huge. I mean, it's just global. Like I have people who I connect with, um, that are in England or Australia, Brazil. I mean, with you guys, you know.
Wow. Thank
Yeah.
you. We work so hard. Our team works so hard to make sure that the community is supported. So in terms of 2022, do you have any like goals for yourself, and what are your plans, and what do you think the community will be needing, and what can we do to support you?
Well, we are entering into this wonderful space in Jupiter, right? Like today is our first day with Jupiter moving into Pisces for 5 wonderful months. So timing is pretty good right now. So if you want to create what it is you want and you want to call on Jupiter, now is the time. This is a great time for it. So setting our intentions, um, creating rituals for ourselves that are clear. Um, and when we're talking about, for even the workshop that I'm facilitating on the 4th, it's about connecting with your intuition and your guides to walk your most purposeful path. And the bonus of walking your most purposeful path is that you happen to make a lot of money when you do it.
Yes.
And I am a big fan of having a lot of resources.
Mm-hmm.
And most importantly, for women and intuitively minded men to have a lot of resources. Because when women have their own money and they don't feel connected to somebody else's needs for them, we are able to connect with our power and make choices that are grounded in a purposeful walk, what you're
That's true.
supposed to do.
Yep. Yep.
My purposeful walk right now, and this is the other thing that's important, it can change. You don't have to choose your purpose or connect with it on day one. My purposeful walk right now is being a coach and being an intuitive coach and an empath and a mother to young children and a partner. That's my path right now. It could change in 3 months, or it could change in 7 years, or, you know, whatever makes sense. In fact, I guarantee it will. Which is the other part about creating intentions, is that it's important to reassess like every 3 months or so, right? What new intel did you get? if you set an intention that was, let's say exercise based, because that's typically one that people connect with. If you set an intention that was, I am going to do weight training 4 days a week for the rest of my life, cool. But that's not actually what your body needs. Your body needs yoga and getting on the bike every once in a while and doing something else. Well, it would be a shame to have felt as though you had to tattoo that first intention to your body and you have to stick with it.
Mm.
I like to reassess my goals every quarter once I get new intel, right? When I get new intel, then I'm like, oh, okay, this is a great idea, but I'm going to shift this, that, and the other thing. My ideal week, maybe I thought it included getting up and doing yoga at 6 o'clock every morning, but actually it's more valuable for me to do it at, 8 o'clock after I've done drop off or whatever. But it's important to allow yourself the freedom to reassess. So in terms of creating goals on the 4th, I'm going to do it. And some of my goals are exciting. My goals are, financially based. They're purposefully based. They're family based. I'd like to exist with a lot more grace for my kids. This last few years have been a little tight in terms of the emotion that I have available. It's just been really challenging. And if you have children or creatures that you have to care for, if they're adults or if they're in diapers, the emotional reserves are no longer there, right?
That's
so
true.
Yes. And
I have a 24-year-old, so
which is like the same as my 7-year-old, right?
yeah,
They are
yeah.
in need,
Different needs, but
but being
still
available.
needy. Yes, but still needy.
And so that I'd like to exist with more grace for my children. I'd like to find ways and to create actionable goals around that so that I know what that means for myself. So existing with grace can feel a little nebulous, right? So I need to create that something that I can check off on a list for me. So does that mean that before I give a consequence, I take 10 breaths and figure out if it's valuable or not? That might be something I could do, right? If I'm looking at ways I can support my partner, then I'm thinking about that. And then also, how do I support what I need? More yoga in my life, more education. I'm considering another degree. These things that are valuable for me so I continue to be more helpful for everybody. Also make me more pleasant to be around. And when I'm more pleasant to be around, everybody wins.
That's what my son tells me when I get grouchy. Mama, go do your yoga. I'm like, okay. And so I know it's true. It's true. It's like, yeah, it gives me just a different perspective. Alexandra, January 4, 6:30, defining your purpose. So we look forward to your course and, the rest of the year and learning more from you. So thank you.
Thank you.